All right. It is possible, if you're a gardener, I'm going to give you the greatest gift. Especially if you work to establish colonies or you've got your little pot garden of native plants that require that assistance from the microbes and the fungus in the soils. Mycorrhiza for one of them, a fungus that attaches itself to the roots of some plants and actually act like root hairs. In the case of the lady slippers, the orchids, I have been attempting successfully. I've moved various orchids around with good success because our soils basically, even though they might be a little drier, they would still contain those components here and there, and some are a little more relaxed as far as their environments. However, in the case of Chimaphila umbellata, or princess pine, or also known as Pipicissua, and trailing arbutus, I haven't had the best of luck. And so I'm thinking, I'm going to give it another try. I'm going to either make another hypertufa pot for that micro woodland environment, or else some other area, grow it in a small area of my wildflower garden. What can I do to help increase the microbiota action and fungus component in that soil? So I did minor research. And it turns out that molasses and rock sulfate added to the soils feeds this stuff. And so you can create possibly a super woodland soil by just adding these two things. Of course, I'm going to build the soil profile according to what is best for these two plants. And in many respects, the trailing arbutus and the Pipicissua had the same requirements, the same amount of soil moisture, which, you know, it's not specific. It doesn't have to be a specific thing. But I'm feeling that the reason I've had not so much success in transplanting these two plants was that the soil lacked those amenities. The soil lacked enough of the mycorrhiza and other funguses that allow the symbiotic relationship to exist, and other microbes in the soil. So let's see. Molasses, just plain old molasses and rock sulfate. If you're not aware of it, trailing arbutus is also called mayflower. There's a lot of different mayflowers. There are flowers that bloom in May in different areas. Trailing arbutus was over-harvested in this area because of the scent, and so it declined. Also changing conditions. The Pipicissua is an interesting plant. It's not gathered in this area, but in many areas, perhaps the Pacific Northwest, I'm not sure where exactly, it's gathered to make root beer. It's a medicinal plant that is used mainly for urinary tract issues, infections, but it also has a really pungent and really intense and really good flavor. It was used by the natives of North America, the Native Americans, as well as people that came in and discovered that it really has a pleasing flavor and can be turned into root beer. It's short, it's not very tall, you know. Saturday Night Live skit, I'm going to pinch your head. You know, about yay tall. Evergreen, it's green even in the winter, below the snow in this area because the snow can get kind of deep. Really nice flowers. Brilliant green leaves. It's also called umbulated wintergreen because it looks like wintergreen. If you know what wintergreen is, that really fleshy, thick, deep green leaf. In this case, it's toothed, but it's a pretty little plant. I like it. I want to have enough established so I can harvest it. It's nice because the natives would use the leaf for the medicinal part, not have to dig up the entire plant, leaving that creeping, sprawling root like trailing arbutus, intact. They would just take the leaves. However, if you take too many leaves, which can live, from what I understand, about 8 years. I mean, the individual leaves you see on this plant can be 8 years old. It's an old plant. It's a wise plant. It can be over-harvested. And so, my friends, my fellow gardeners, I would say that if you're having trouble working with woodland plants and species of orchids, North American orchids, not Phalaenopsis, you know, the tropical things, that you might rip open that packet of mycorrhiza, mix it in your soil, I'm going to have to research further to see if you water down the molasses or just put it full strength, you know, whatever's left over will feed the worms and everything, because I always like to have an established colony of worms in my containers. Maybe that will do the trick. Maybe that will, for once, allow me to be successful in establishing in a potted garden or an area of my wildflower garden successful princess pine, Pipicissua, and trailing arbutus colonies to form. And that's it. That's my gift to you, molasses. My gift is molasses. I appreciate your viewership. Keep on digging. Got to have a tagline. I suppose I should get back to work because we have visitors at this time, wearing the woodpecker proudly, and I'm within the bounds of my job. My employer should be happy that I am passing on this valuable plant knowledge to you. Have a good one. Oh, little nuthatch. Hey, little nuthatch.